Hi, everyone. This is Jason Martin, author of This Is Your Captain speaking. And on this episode of the Note Closers Show with Scott Carson, we go deep on life, why it's all about life and less about business. Listen in as I share a few secrets, tips, and tricks that'll help you rethink how you're viewing the world. Cool?
This is the Note Closers Show, where you get the latest developments in distressed note investing and learn the secrets of how you can control millions of dollars worth of property for pennies on the dollar. Get educated and entertained by someone who has closed thousands of deals and lives to support you in achieving the same. Now, here's your host, CEO of We Close Notes, Scott Carson.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Note Closer Show. As always, Scott Carson, excited to be here with you today. And I don't know about you guys out there, but with such the chaos and all the craziness we've seen over the last 18 plus months, sometimes we often feel like we're not in control of our own ship. I mean, I was just on a plane and actually spoke at an event for the first time in roughly 15 months. And when you're sitting there in the plane, you hear, "This is your captain speaking." I'm like, really? Is it my captain? Oh, my captain speaking it? Am I really on the path where I want to go? Is this really what I want to be doing on a regular basis? Trying it, or I want to be home, or especially when you spend time with your loved ones, you get used to that. And so I'm really excited for today's topic. We've got a rock star guest. He is an amazing realtor, knows the DMV market, the Washington, D.C. market like the back of his hand. But this is a guy who recently has had a little bit change of direction, where instead of sitting on the plane being directed by somebody, this guy is busted into the captain's seat and taking control. He is the author of an amazing book that I highly recommend you guys all go out, get a copy of it. You're going to love it because I think it says a lot for all of us and where we want to go. He is the author of This Is Your Captain Speaking, Life Lessons from the Journey So Far. And I'm honored to have my new friend, Jason Martin, join us here on the Note Closers Show. What is going on, Jason? How you doing this afternoon?
Scott, what's happening, my brother? And I'll give you the story. You set it up pretty well, but I want to bring it back down to earth really quickly for everybody, because when I talk about, folks, if you order the book, you'll see the cover and you're thinking I'm on a boat and I'm sailing the easy life and all of that. But the reality is, I'm the captain when we get in our minivan to go on family trips, and I'm on the road for 8 to 10 hours. So the title of the book came from that. And I get on the microphone and I go like this: "This is your captain speaking, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard the Martin Express. If you need anything at all, the fine lady sitting next to me," that's Mom, by the way, "she's happy to get it." And inevitably, within 2 minutes, Mom is out of her seat getting something for the kids in the back of the minivan right away on our long trip. So there's the cover and it looks relaxing and it's cool. But then there's the reality, and I'm the captain of the Martin Express minivan. So I just want to let everybody know that right.
You're not calling us live from St. Louis, the Four Seasons, and
Oh, no. And matter of fact, before we got started, I think I told you I've got some creative framing going on here with the visual too. If I were to take this down, you can see all the laundry on the floor that I've got to fold as soon as I'm done this, because we're going on a family trip this weekend as well.
Well, that is awesome. And when we spoke before we got on here, what you really shared a great story. Could you talk a little bit about the book and kind of what inspired you to kind of go there? Because we have mutual friends. Our friend Ruby introduced us a few months back, or started believing in us like a few months ago. But Ruby is one of those, we've had her on the podcast before, pretty much a straight shooter, the love gut or love punch is what her podcast used to be called. And, she's gone through her own journey in the last few months. When she called me up and told me about it, I was like, oh yes, we got a Jason definitely on here to talk about it. So let's talk about what led to writing the book and kind of what led up to it.
Yeah, about 7 years ago, Scott, I started to journal, and by journal I don't mean daily. I would do probably 1 or 2 entries a month, and as I began to journal, I began to learn from myself, and I was like, this is kind of interesting. And I started to put in memories, family memories, and things that were happening in my life, and I really started to just become self-aware. So I began on this journey of self-improvement, self-awareness, whatever you want to call it, self-help, about 7 years ago. And man, I'm so grateful I did it, because it led to the book, This Is Your Captain Speaking. And it's just been a fun journey. And I like to share with everybody, it's my goal in life to be the best father and be the best husband that I can be. That's the journey I'm on. I want to be the best me I can be as well. And when I started to explore that as an option, my world really opened up in a big way. And that's how the book came to be. I get to have my name on it, but I feel like the world was calling me in a direction. So I listened, and I ran with it. And matter of fact, about an hour ago, my friend, we just became #1 on Amazon in our category. So the book is now #1 in our category on Amazon as we speak. That happened an hour ago. And I don't have a background in writing. In fact, I failed copy editing in college. And here I am. I wrote a book from the heart, and it's life lessons. Some describe it as a love letter to my family, baked in with little lessons that I want them to know. Others have described it as a living legacy. And my hope for those that are reading it is it starts to get your brain going a little bit, and just have you asking yourself some questions. Are you doing the things you want to do for those that matter most to you? And how are you doing that? And are you being the best version of yourself possible?
Let's talk about that a little bit, because kind of you talked about journaling, and journaling is can be such a great rehab or brain dump, kind of a letting go of things. Or if you go back and read what you're reading, you're like, whoa, I was thinking differently than I'm thinking now. What's been the biggest change between Jason previously to where you're at now? That's kind of surprised you, Jason.
Yeah, it was so I'm 44, and I felt like when I was, in my late 30s, I started to kind of question things. I was maybe some of the things I was doing, or some of the habits I've had. And you look back on your life and be like, I've been doing a lot of the same stuff for a long amount of time. What if I changed it up a little bit and just tried to see what else is out there? Do I have another level, quite frankly, Scott? And that's what I wanted to know. And I issued myself a personal challenge to write the book. And the funny thing is, I tell the story to everybody. About 16 months ago or so, I told all my family and friends, I said, hey, I'm going to write a book. And when I made that statement to everybody, I had not written, excuse me, I forgot to turn my ringer off. Hold on.
You're okay.
So when I made that statement to my family and friends, I hadn't written a single chapter in the book. But I knew that if I put myself out there and told them that I was going to pull this off, that it was going to happen. So that's what I did. It was a personal growth challenge. And I just feel like I've just been on this journey like this for really the last 7 years. And I just made a choice. And I was like, I'm going to give it a go. And I'm so grateful that I did, because I find myself in conversations like this all the time. This is my second or third conversation today, and we get to talk about life, and we get to talk about family and choices we get to make. And yeah, that type of stuff really excites me, man.
So going back to your late 30s, as you're starting to think about this, and that's one of the biggest things about goals, is to tell your friends and family so they hold you accountable to get it done, right? The last thing you want to do is around Thanksgiving time, hey, how's that book deal going? Oh, crap.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But as a very active, you run a team there in Dallas, Fort Worth as well too, in your real estate business. What things did you have to do to kind of help you accomplish those things to get the book written? What are maybe some of the major habits that you changed? You said, I can't do that anymore. I want to try something else.
So we're based in DC. We're right at the bottom of Capitol Hill there. One of the things I had to do to get the book written was start getting up a little bit earlier. I got up, most of the writing for the book was done around 5:30 in the morning, which would require me to kind of go to bed and be asleep around 10 o'clock. So to be able to wake up with energy, ready to attack the day, I needed to start paying attention to what time I ate dinner, what time I went to bed. Was I watching Netflix too late at night? And so I started to monitor my energy and doing things like that. A couple of the other changes I made, I would since I was 16. We were popping beers with buddies, and I had that habit in my life for a very, very long time. And now I probably have a couple of glasses of wine once a quarter. And it just came from curiosity of like, hey, there might be a different way to approach some things. Let's test it out. Let's see what happens. And I'm so thankful that I did. And I want people to know that as you get into the book, you'll hear a lot of things like take care of yourself, be the best version of yourself possible. That all sounds really, really selfish. But I think people need to be selfish, because when you're monitoring this stuff and when you're trying to be the best version of yourself possible, guess who reaps the benefits? Those closest to you, my kids, my wife, my family, my friends. So if I can just be the best version of me possible, they're all going to reap those benefits. And so as I started to make these tweaks, my brain started to go, man, I kind of like this stuff. I kind of like these tweaks. I kind of want to do more and more and more. I'm hungry for more, and whatever that means, but more goodness for the right reasons. And yeah, I do run a team. We close about 250. We'll close about 250 homes this year. And the thing I share with the real estate team, and we talk 80% about life and 20% about business. And my approach is this, that if you go on a personal growth journey, I commit to the team that it's my belief that you don't have to worry about your professional growth, because if you can grow yourself as a person, the business is likely going to be there as well. And I share that story with them because over those 7 years, I started to document, oh, their success, their success, their success. And every time it was when I had a personal growth moment. Right. And I was like, holy cow. So the key to professional growth and professional development is just be selfish and be the best version I can be of myself. And there it is. And capture that, but don't think that I'm selfish, if that makes sense. Like, I'm doing it, yes, for me, but I really want those around me to understand, to see the best version of me possible, so that they can draw energy from that. And that's what it is. The book's got a ton of lessons in there like that. I write about my kids, I write about my dog in the book, and we bake the life lessons in at the end of each chapter.
I love it. That's what, our mentors have always said, like, listen, if you want to go to making six figures, because that's really like the first thing, you've got to change the mind, and you got to grow your mind into a six-figure mindset. And if you want to go to seven figures, you've got to grow your mind to that, because you're not ready a lot of times. And I think that's I agree 100%. Anytime you have success and breakthroughs, it really opens up a whole different way of thinking and being more efficient in getting things done, because you're not buying into the limitations of the lies that we tell yourself about what you can or cannot get done. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And we can tie it right to goals. So when you go on the journey and you're going to get results, somebody was asking me about goals earlier. I love setting goals. I'm a big fan of setting goals, but now I set goals in a new way, where I identify the goal, and then the result of the goal is just the result of the goal. And it's good, bad, or whatever. I don't get too attached to that. I make tweaks and see if we can make some subtle changes. But if I win, it's not, it'll be a celebration, but it's not like I need that win to survive, or if I lose, I'm not going to hold on to that loss very long. So I'm just really focused on just trying to do good in the world.
Do you see yourself being a lot more efficient? Obviously, getting up at 5:30 to write a little bit, you're starting the day probably 3 to 4 hours ahead of most people. And
yeah, I would say a lot more efficient, but in fairness, by like 3 or 4 o'clock, I'm washed out. Like I'm done. And my wife and my kids make fun of me because, especially in the fall time, by like 6 o'clock, if it's dark out, I got my pajamas on, man. And by 8 o'clock, I'm ready to be like settled in the bed. And my wife is she's thrown in the towel on it. She's given up on me, like staying up late. So she's gotten used to it. So I'm totally more efficient. I do like to be up before the world wakes up. I have my best thoughts in the morning, and I'm most energized in the morning. So I might be a little bit different than a lot of folks out there, where, at 4 o'clock, you still have energy. I don't. By 4, I'm done.
Well, to each his own, as long as they're being efficient, getting their own, getting their stuff done. Some people are better in the evening. Some people are better at midnight, night out, stuff like that. That's totally great. It's just a matter of identifying where your power comes from.
Yeah.
What what kind of impact with your kids, as your kids seen in you, besides the going to bed in pajama time at 4:30?
This is so cool. This has been the best result of the book is success for me with the book became, if my kids read it, my wife reads it, and that's it. And maybe I figured my mom might read it. And they took some of the lessons from it and absorbed it, and understand that dad cares about them that much to write a book about them. That was it. That was what success for the book looked like. And like I mentioned to you, every chapter in the book came from my bottom of my heart. And so that was it. However, the impact, it's been crazy. It's a very weird phenomenon when you're getting emails from people all over the country. I was on a webinar today. I'm on this podcast, and things are just happening because I just put my heart out there and stepped into what I was trying to do in life, and it's been awesome. So they get to see that, and now they get to see. Of course, I'm like, Dad's an author, guys. And Dad wasn't an author 15 months ago. So they'll absorb that. They'll realize as they move forward in their life that, hey, if you want to do something new, or you want to try something, or you want to become something, just do it and give it a go. So they're taking that away from it. They read every chapter quickly, which was awesome. And my life lessons, they're baked in there for them.
What has there been a mentor along the way, or a coach that's helped inspire you, that helped you take these steps a few years back?
Yeah, I feel like there's been a few along the way. And I believe that I think when people think of mentors, they think of somebody they got to have a close personal relationship with. They're on the phone once or twice a week. I started with a real estate brokerage called Keller Williams. Yep. And a lot of folks, I'm sure you're familiar with it, and a lot of people will be.
Hometown here in Austin, Texas, man.
Yeah, you know it. So funny enough, I sent the book to Jay Papazan just the other day. So he's got it sitting on his desk. I know he does. So Gary Keller and Jay had an impact on my thinking, because I was with Keller Williams for 13 years, and I was a fan of the one thing. They also still run and did run a class called Quantum Leap. All of this stuff was around the things that we're talking about. So if I were to look back and say who was a mentor, who had influence on this trajectory, I would definitely say those guys for sure, because I loved what they were putting into the world. And currently I'm a big fan of Hal Elrod. So I'm trying to find a way to get into Hal's world and maybe get on his podcast, although he doesn't know me yet. He will soon. That's those are folks that I would mention.
When you're looking back now, has there been a surprise that you didn't expect from a chapter, or some of the things, some similar comments you're hearing from people who've read the book or reaching out to you?
It's nuts. The things that just happen are absolutely insane. There's a chapter in the book called Positive Mental Attitude, Scott. And I had a 6th grade teacher who, on the whiteboard in the classroom one day, had these 3 letters, big PMA, and a group of 6th graders walked into the class, and we didn't know what it was about. And Morris Hawkins was the teacher, and he proceeded to share the benefits of a positive mental attitude, having a positive mental attitude in life. And that message stuck with me from the 6th grade. And it's insane. And I share that with my kids, PMA, positive mental attitude. So it's like generation to generation passing this stuff down. Well, today I was on the webinar, and I have not seen Morris Hawkins probably since the 6th grade, however many years ago that was. Haven't talked to him and stayed in touch with him. Just that life lesson that he passed along to me, just that moment in time had such an impact on my life. 3 simple letters that he put up there one day. And I'm on the webinar today, and then a friend of mine goes, "Hey, this might be the Morris Hawkins you're talking about." So a couple of hours ago, I was just on the phone with 86-year-old Morris Hawkins from my 6th grade class, who's still doing well, who's going on Amazon to buy the book that he is a chapter in there about that. So I got my 6th grade teacher in there. As a former sports anchor, I've come across some fun people behind me. I don't know if you can see it there. In 2001, I was at the Masters tournament. I covered that. Got to experience a little bit of Tiger Woods, and there's a great story in the book about Arnold Palmer. Also been fortunate enough in the real estate world to get to know Mitt and Ann Romney pretty closely, which they're awesome people. So I just feel I'm a pretty lucky dude that's just sharing my experiences, and I just hope that I can inspire others to kind of start thinking about life, thinking about journaling, thinking about your legacy, thinking about self-awareness. These things are so fun.
Yeah, I would tell you, I agree with that completely. PMA is definitely important with life's ups and downs. I think those that have a PMA definitely rebound a whole lot faster, and they don't let things kind of drag them down like others do in a lot of cases. I mean, we big advocate of only having a 30-second bitch session if something goes wrong, and then get back on the right track and move in and see how you can turn that turn into lemons into lemonade as best you can. You know what I mean?
Yeah, those at the top of their game in any industry in life and or business seem to adapt that. You have to be able to move forward. We keep in our office, we keep a big wooden sign in red letters that says next. And anytime somebody gets stuck, we're like, next is a good key component to moving forward. And that's with success or with failure. Next, I mean, things are going to continue to go, and the world's going to continue to go. My kids finished their last day of middle school today, and so they're off to high school. And I was like, huh. And I happened to be posting in my high school Facebook group today. I'm like, didn't we graduate the other day? Now my kids are going to high school. So all of these memories and moments in time I'm aware of, and I wanted to capture. And it's just fun. It's starting a lot of cool conversations.
Yeah. What's been a hurdle or something? I don't maybe not say a failure, but a setback. Anything happened along while you were writing?
Good question. There's a chapter in the book on failure, so you're not going to be surprised by that. The first book I wrote, I don't know why I did it this way, but I did it. I didn't know what I was doing. The first book was a business self-help book, and I submitted it to the copy editor. And the copy editor said, "You missed your mark. You missed your audience. Go back to the drawing board." And keep in mind, like, I poured it out. Like I laid it out. I thought I had it, right? And this is no joke, Scott. I had my book release party speech written. I was ready to go. I had people. I had my friends visualized in the room, and here I am. I'm rocking. And so that gut punch sent me to the mat. And it took me 3 weeks to really decide if I was gonna write another book. But thankfully, that copy editor said, "Listen, where you get really strong, where I can really connect, and the gold in whatever you're trying to put out there is when you do this through the lens of a father and as a husband and as a family man." So once I started to just connect the dots with that, I was like, I already have that. Like, that's me. That's who I am. Thank you for pulling that out in me. And then what you guys will see, this is your captain speaking the book now, is really the second book I wrote in that amount of time. The first one I got punched in the gut, but I'm so thankful I got punched in the gut, because I would have missed the mark. And what I've got now is something that if I die tomorrow, my family can pick it up and be like, this is who Dad was. This is his core values. This is what he believed about life and us. I laid it out there, and I put it out there for them.
Now, your mom, you said you're hoping your mom was going to read it. Was your mom?
No.
Mom, I mean, moms always takes a look at us in rose-colored glasses in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
Your mom said anything surprised you about what you put down as your legacy?
Well, so the funny thing is, I said that if only a couple people read it, right? My kids, my wife, and maybe my mom would read it. So they're like, that's all I really ever thought maybe would read it. But now it's taking its own journey. So yeah, we mentioned my mom in the book for sure, and the impact she's had on my life, and talk about my dad as well, how he instilled work ethic in me, and we talked through those journeys about family from that perspective. And yeah, I look back on it, and my mom was extremely influential in my life and the person I am today.
That's awesome. Now, what have you started to apply? You mentioned something there that was very critical. I don't know if people heard about how with your team, you talk about 80% life and 20% work. Mm-hmm. Most places, it's completely inverted that. It's 80% or 90% work and only 10% life. How is the flipping it over? How's it enriched your office? I'm sure you probably feel a lot closer to the people around. You got on the Martin Group page. I was admiring. You got it looks like a very tight knit office.
We do.
Well diversified office as well too.
Yeah, we do, man. And genuinely, I care about them as people. And I really do. And I think if you were to call any of the agents or any of the staff and you ask them, hey, does Jason actually care? And the answer is yeah. I get energy and draw energy from helping people succeed in life. And the business will figure out the business. So like, we'll figure out the business. I'm just not that worried about that. I pay attention to it, but I'm a believer, and it's hard to go all in on this. It took, like I said, it took me 38 years to start exploring this concept. I don't know why the hell it took me so long, but it did. We're all on our own journey. But now that I get this, I'm going to, for the rest of my life, anytime I want to level up, I'm going to level up as a person first. And the business is going to be what it's going to be. And the results are ridiculous. People on my team, once they join their businesses, are up 400%, 700%, 800. We're talking about today, 1700%. So like, they hear this all the time from me. And we get into conversations about happiness and life and attaching labels to ourselves. We're having these conversations that I don't think people are having enough, Scott. And I don't. And I just invite people to come on the journey with me. And when they do, and we look back, the results that they're going to get, they'll be there. I promise you they're going to be there. And even if they're not exactly perfect, you're going to be grateful that the journey has brought you to a spot, because it frees your mind up. It frees you up. And when you're free, you can think clearly. And when you can think clearly, you have the ability to be more successful in the professional world.
Yeah, you get tied down to things. And I would say you probably have experienced that living in the Washington, D.C. market, where everything's been so uproarious over the last few months, politics and everything that goes along with that. Curious, have you made it a point and try to eliminate a lot of those distractions as you can while keeping an eye on the prize and everything?
Yeah, yes is the answer. And just a very direct answer. We're trying to eliminate the distractions. Like if you're spending time thinking about things that aren't moving you in the direction you want to go in life, then you should be asking yourself some questions about that. Like, why am I thinking about that? Why am I holding on to that? What's the benefit of me holding on to that thought? 70 to 80% of our thoughts by some studies are negative. What's the benefit of that? Like, really, when you start to become self-aware and you're like, ding, 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 there's another one, there's another one. One, how did it become that way? Two, why am I having these thoughts? And three, how the hell can we just let them go? And so it's a technique that I'm actively working on. I feel like we're on a journey here. And while it may seem like I have some things figured out, I can only just tell you that I'm working on stuff. And I'm going to always be a student of wellness and self-improvement, because the results I get to experience, I'm experiencing results, and I want more of them.
Once you get that positive ball rolling, you don't want it to stop, right?
That's right. Momentum. It's hard to get, very easy and quickly lost.
Yeah. Now, are you planning another book, another chapter, another, what's the on tap for the next phase?
Yeah. Of this? So you become, I'll go deep with you here for a second on it. You actually start to crave the rewards that you're seeing from it. Like, I'm kind of now used to people walking up and jumping in a conversation with me about a chapter. And then I kind of, at first I was like, wait, I think that way. And then you're like, oh, you read the book. And as stuff comes from all over the country and emails, and it's beautiful, you kind of get used to that. So I am not, I'm not going to let myself hold on to that for too much, because I don't want this thing up here to get big. I'm super appreciative of it. If you want to reach out to me, I'll email you back. We'll be in a conversation. So I'm not like automatically jump to the next book, although people are asking. But if I do it, it's because something's calling me to do it. I'm getting whispered in the ear, and I'll do it. I will tell you what I am being called to do, and I got to figure out how to make this happen. So maybe you or some of your listeners can help me. And this is just evolving, but I want to take the book into the prison system, and I'd like to set up a structure where I can help prisoners write books for their family, and I'd like to get the books published and hand them to their families. That would be pretty cool. And the way I look at that is like, if this can have an impact on my family, and I've had a pretty easy run in life, what if I could take and help somebody that's had a hard road and provide some hope and inspiration for them, and then give love to their family? Like, I'm being called to do that. And I say that this is like the same thing, Scott, where I was like, I wrote the first page and I told everybody I was going to write a book, and then I wrote the first page. This is that same type of conversation. I'm putting it out to the world that, man, it would be cool if I could get people that are behind bars to put something out there like this, and they have that same family experience, and their kids experience it, and they experience it, and it gives them something to hope for while they're in prison. I don't even know where that came from, but I've been in the last 72 hours, man. So I'm gonna run to that, and I don't even. And this is gonna sound like woo woo for you guys, right? Like, where the hell's he coming from? Like, what's he talking about? I've learned that when you get these subtle hints, these whispers, divine intervention, greater calling, whatever you want to call it, if you go for it, it's kind of cool.
I'm going to share something with you. I'm friends with a guy by the name of Gregory, who's the author of Think and Grow Rich, 3 Feet from Gold. Mm-hmm. He co-wrote the book with Sharon Lechter, who's the co-author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad with Robert Kiyosaki. Both of them are my Rolodex. Both of them I can pick up the phone and talk to any given time. And they've written hundreds and hundreds of books across the country. So I'm going to make the introduction for you. Funny story I want to share with you. Greg has been a mentor of mine for years. When he first wrote his book, 3 Feet from Gold, it got turned down by close to 58 different publishers. He took the manuscript to Sharon Lechter, and Sharon laughed at him and said, "This is a joke." Okay. But now fast forward, he sold hundreds of millions of copies and doing a lot of stuff out there. So there's a lot of insight into that. But the thing it talks about the prisons is, I know he just did something not too long ago, working with inmates, working with people in the San Diego area there. So that might be your insight. But one of the things I like about what you said is a lot of people that have experienced being in jail, being in prison, one of their first things is to try to reconcile with the people that they've hurt, their family, and stuff like that. And I can really see your book and your theory on that really helping to change the light, shed a different colored light on people that are serious about changing their things, those, whatever they've done in the past, to try to get over that and change the whole path, or as you say, change the legacy of where they're going.
Yeah, I would love for that connection to happen. And I hope your viewers and listeners kind of watch this conversation unfold. Like, I just put something out there to the world and taken a leap of faith. And then here I am in this conversation with you about that. And who knows where that goes, but absolutely, I'd be jazzed about that. And that's the other thing too, is like, when you're doing things, like, make sure you're doing things authentically, right? Like, the results are going to come. The business results are going to come from a good spot inside, and let that be your light. And that's a fun way to do it. It's a really fun way to do it. And it puts good out into the world. So I look at it like, hey man, maybe by this time, 6 months from now, maybe I've got a book in my hand from Tom, the prisoner, who's locked up behind bars, but has 4 kids that want to know about their dad. And like, that would be, I get jazzed about that, man. And I have no idea how to pull it off. None.
Were you a big reader before you started writing? I know you said you didn't really write a lot, but
yeah, I've become a bigger and bigger reader. So yeah, I've always been a reader, but not to the level that I'm reading now. I'm probably ripping a couple of books a month right now. I'll probably read 24 books or so this year. But I enjoy reading more and more and more and more.
Have you had a chance to read the last lecture by Randy Pausch?
Man, you're killing me right now, Scott. That is, it might even be right there. It's so this weird stuff happens in my world, guys. I'm trying to tell you that. Not only have I read it, I've read that one multiple times. Yep. And almost haven't done it yet, but I would actually like to reach out to his wife and his ex-wife. Well, not ex-wife, but his widow. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I totally botched that, by the way. But I would like to reach out to his family, because I actually think that exact book also had a slight impact on the writing of This Is Your Captain Speaking. And I've told that to my wife, and I think they are partially local here in Virginia, maybe not right around the DMV, but it is my intention to drop a note and a book in the mail to them and just say, your dad did have some sort of impact on this book as well.
Well, that's what I thought. I saw some similarities and can see a little bit after reading your book.
That's cool. That's a good pickup.
That, and that's why I brought it up. I had to ask because I think because that one's always had a big impact. I mean, I can't, whether you're watching the video or reading the book, I always end up crying like when Old Yeller died. You know what I mean? It's just a very emotional but very touching story. And that's what when we start talking, and then I got the book, I was just like, this is a lot because there's so many people out there right now struggling. And we talk about, I mean, we deal a lot with investors and we're dealing with real estate and people getting excited about making money, but it's more than just making money. If you're just chasing the dollar, you're not leaving a legacy behind of some sort or have a bigger why to what you're doing, you run into trouble, you run into issues, and at some point you're just like, what I'm doing, working myself to the bone, really worth it long term?
Think about happiness and think about joy. And I'm in my basement right now, but I don't know if you guys can hear it. My daughter's just up there playing a piano right now. And she's got I hope it's not too loud. She's got a piano recital tomorrow. And we're going to go and do that. And I'm going to watch her and I'm going to soak that in and I'm going to experience that. And that's only going to happen. That moment doesn't happen every day or all the time. And I want to absorb that stuff. And to me, that's what life's about. That is what life is about. And I'll share this one story. On my way to my kid's school today, I was looking around. I'm constantly looking for people that are happy or who I think are happy. And I looked out and there's a crossing guard and she's smiling and it's raining and it's gloomy. And whether it was wintertime, summertime, springtime, whatever, she's always happy. And I bet if I stopped and talked to her and said, "Are you happy?" I think I would get the answer that I know. And so whatever you think you need to be in life, if you're nothing else other than happy, come on, let's do that.
Amen to that. And I think that's a great stopping point there. Guys, the book is, you got to go out and get it. You got to get a copy of it. This Is Your Captain Speaking. Guys, it's time. Gals, time. Hey, take control of yourself. Go out. Be happy. Have a PMA. Go out and make some things happen, but you never know who you're influencing. And hey, why not leave? Let your family, your friends, the closest to you, know exactly what kind of impact you have and really what you're thinking out there for you. So
yeah, and if you want to connect with me as well, anybody out there and your listeners want to connect, todayyouchoose.com. That's a conversation for another time, but todayyouchoose.com. You can connect with me right there. You hit me up with an email, see the picture of my family, chapter 1's there. And buy the book there as well. So todayyouchoose.com, because you got a choice today. What are you going to choose to do?
Exactly. That's awesome. Imagine if you're taking responsibility and making your own decisions versus letting others make those decisions for you. Be the captain. There you go.
Yep.
Well,
Jason, captain speaking.
Exactly. Jason, thank you so much for coming on the Note Closer Show, sharing your insight, sharing your lessons, and sharing your path. Has been amazing.
Man, it's been a treat. I could talk with you all day, man. We're connecting a lot of dots here, Scott.
Amen to that, Jason. Well, hey, guys, check it out. Go get the book. Go to the website. Jason mentioned that we'll have all that links in below in the show notes and stuff like that for you. But go take action. You never know where you're headed. And honestly, if you keep a positive attitude, even when bad things go right, you'll still come out on top because you'll see things and opportunities that present themselves that if you don't have a positive attitude, you'll just miss. And I'm a big believer that if the world and the environment says no, it's actually saying yes to something else. So go out, take some action, everybody, and we'll see you all at the top.